Franco-German War. This is a world war.
A British
Sarajevo, 1914, a city bathed in summer sun. A young couple, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie, rode through the streets. Their car turned onto a fateful street. A shot. Chaos. The Archduke and his wife lay dead, victims of an assassin's bullet. This act of violence, seemingly insignificant in the grand scheme of things, would have unimaginable consequences. It was a spark in a powder keg, igniting a conflict that would engulf the world in flames. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, sent shockwaves through Europe. Austria-Hungary, blaming Serbia for harbouring the assassin, issued an ultimatum. The ultimatum was designed to be rejected. Serbia, backed by Russia, refused to comply fully. The fragile peace, held together by treaties and alliances, began to crumble. Within weeks, Europe was at war. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Germany, bound by treaty to Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and France. Great Britain, obligated to defend Belgium's neutrality, declared war on Germany. The Great War, as it would be known, had begun. Millions of young men, caught in the tide of nationalism and patriotic fervour, marched off to war, unaware of the horrors that awaited them.
Before we continue, we noticed many of our viewers have not subscribed. So please share, like and subscribe. Now back to the video. Thank you.
The world watched in disbelief as Europe descended into chaos. What began as a localized conflict quickly escalated into a global war. On one side stood the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. On the other side stood the Allied powers, Great Britain, France, Russia, and eventually Italy and the United States. The early days of the war were marked by a sense of naive optimism. Many believed it would be over by Christmas. However, this initial enthusiasm quickly faded as the war bogged down into a bloody stalemate. The Western Front, a 400-mile stretch of trenches from the North Sea to Switzerland, became a symbol of this brutal new form of warfare. The Western Front was a scene of unimaginable horror. Millions of soldiers found themselves trapped in a nightmarish world of mud, blood, and barbed wire. Machine guns, a new and terrifyingly efficient weapon, mowed down men by the thousands. Poison gas, a horrifying innovation, choked the life out of soldiers, leaving behind a gruesome and agonizing death. The Battle of the Somme, one of the bloodiest battles in human history, epitomized the futility of trench warfare. Over 1 million casualties were suffered for a meager gain of a few miles. The Battle of Verdun, another horrific clash, saw the longest and most costly battle in human history up to that point. These battles, and countless others like them, became grim testaments to the human cost of the war. After 4 long years of war, the guns finally fell silent on November 11th, 1918. The Allied powers, victorious but exhausted, imposed harsh penalties on Germany in the Treaty of Versailles. Germany was forced to accept blame for the war, cede territory, disarm its military, and pay crippling reparations. The treaty, meant to prevent future wars, sowed the seeds of resentment and instability that would contribute to the rise of extremism in the years to come. The war had a profound impact on global politics. Empires crumbled, new nations emerged, and the old world order lay in ruins. The war also had a devastating impact on society. Millions were dead, economies were shattered, and a generation was scarred by the horrors they had witnessed. Section 5, Shadows Rise, Totalitarianism Grips Europe. The 1920s, known as the Roaring Twenties, were a time of both progress and unease. The scars of war ran deep and the global economy struggled to recover. In the midst of this instability, new ideologies emerged, promising order and strength. Totalitarian regimes characterized by extreme nationalism, authoritarianism, and suppression of dissent rose to power in Germany, Italy, and Japan. In Germany, Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party exploited the economic chaos and resentment towards the Treaty of Versailles. Hitler, a charismatic and ruthless demagogue, promised to restore Germany to its former glory. His message resonated with a population desperate for change, and the Nazi party gained power, ultimately transforming Germany into a totalitarian state. 6. The storm breaks. The Second World War begins. On September 1st, 1939, the world watched in horror as Hitler unleashed his armies on Poland. This act of aggression, a blatant violation of international law, marked the beginning of World War II. Great Britain and France, bound by their treaty obligations, declared war on Germany. The world, still reeling from the devastation of the First World War, was once again plunged into a global conflict. The early years of the war were marked by a string of stunning German victories. Hitler's blitzkrieg, a new form of lightning warfare, proved devastatingly effective. Poland fell in weeks, followed by Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium and France. By the summer of 1940, only Great Britain stood defiant against the Nazi war machine. Section 7. A World Ablaze. From London to Hiroshima. The Battle of Britain, a months-long air campaign waged over the skies of England, became a turning point in the war. The Royal Air Force, though outnumbered, fought with incredible courage and determination against the Luftwaffe, Germany's air force. The Battle of Britain was a victory for the British, and it marked the first major defeat for Hitler's forces. In December 1941, the war expanded dramatically when Japan, seeking to establish dominance in Asia, launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The attack, which killed over 2,400 Americans, shocked and outraged the American public and propelled the United States into the war. The conflict raged on, engulfing Europe, Asia and Africa in its flames. From the beaches of Normandy to the jungles of Burma, from the frozen wastes of Russia to the scorching deserts of North Africa, the war raged on, claiming millions of lives. Section 8. Titans of War Leaders and Tyrants. World War II was a conflict shaped by larger-than-life figures. Winston Churchill, the indomitable Prime Minister of Great Britain, rallied his nation with his stirring speeches and unwavering resolve. Franklin D. Roosevelt, the President of the United States, led his country through its darkest hour, providing crucial leadership and resources to the Allied cause. On the other side stood Adolf Hitler, the architect of Nazi Germany's reign of terror. Driven by a twisted ideology of racial hatred and national superiority, Hitler unleashed a wave of death and destruction across Europe. His name became synonymous with evil, his actions a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and fanaticism. Section 9. Fire from the Sky. The atomic bombs and the end of an era. As the war entered its final year, the tide began to turn decisively in favor of the Allies. In June 1944, the D-Day landings in Normandy, France, marked the beginning of the liberation of Western Europe. Soviet forces, after enduring unimaginable losses, pushed back the Germans from the east. Victory, though costly, seemed within reach. In August 1945, the world witnessed a terrifying new chapter in warfare. The United States, seeking to end the war quickly and prevent further bloodshed, dropped atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The bombs, unimaginably destructive, killed hundreds of thousands of people and ushered in the atomic age, a new era marked by both hope and fear. Section 10. A New World Order, the Legacy of War. The Second World War, the deadliest conflict in human history, finally came to an end in September 1945. The war left an indelible mark on the world, reshaping global politics, redrawing national boundaries, and leaving millions dead. In the aftermath of the war, the victorious Allies established the United Nations, an international organization dedicated to preventing future wars and promoting peace and cooperation among nations. The world emerged from the war forever changed. The horrors of the Holocaust, the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews by Nazi Germany, served as a stark reminder of the dangers of hatred and intolerance. The war also led to significant social and technological advancements, from the development of radar and jet engines to the rise of the civil rights movement and the expansion of women's rights. The legacy of World War II continues to shape the world today, serving as a reminder of the human capacity for both great evil and extraordinary courage and resilience.
Je viens de la France où on danse la chenille, où on prend plus de